Hi, if you click on this video, you might be wondering what is an unreliable seer. You might be thinking, I've heard the unreliable narrator, which is a concept in writing described as a narrator whose credibility is compromised. Popular examples of this are Patrick Bateman from American Psycho, Deadpool, the narrator, and Mr. Society himself, often contradicting themselves or changing the facts in the story being told to fit their own narratives. In a nutshell, the narrator will often be like,
true story.
But as a spectator, we are prone to doubt anything he says. It's a really unique method to show the particular train of thought certain characters have, or how events transpired. As is often used by characters in mental distress, it gives unlimited potential to the author to how or where they can take their own story with this not widely used tool. I remember seeing this in Deadpool for the first time and thinking how cool was that the main character told his own story while giving the audience his notes about it. And then I saw it on Birds of Prey. And then in Joker. And then I thought, alright, it was cool, but calm down. There are a lot of shows, movies, and books that use this, with one of the best in my opinion being Mr. Robot. But anyway, the Unreliable Seer is a concept of my own creation, meaning that
I made it the fuck up.
So stick with me as this requires a lot of mental gymnastics to give it sense. Just like most stories present a subjective reality, eventually I thought, manga also has a thing like that. I think. So, I read a fair amount of manga. I really love the medium, and one of the things I like the most is how intimate the manga community is. Or at least the manga creators. I love seeing images of great mangakas just chilling and having a good time, especially after seeing their schedules. But what I adore is the illustrations a certain mangaka will make of another manga. Here we have Luffy, originally created by Eiichiro Oda. Sorry for the pronunciation, by the way, I'll try my best. And also drawn by Takehiko Inoue, creator of Slam Dunk and Vagabond. And one of the things you can immediately notice is just how vastly different the art styles are. And this difference tells you exactly the kind of story the author who drew it tells. Oda's design is wacky, cartoonish, and happy. It has a very positive energy when you look at it. Such as One Piece. It's a fun and goofy grand adventure. While Inoue's is very grounded and serious. Luffy's face is very realistic, as Inoue's works always are. Vagabond tells a very grounded and spiritual journey of Musashi and how he searches for his place in the world. A very serious and real manga. And we also have the inverse, and now that I think about it, he looks a lot like Zoro. It's amazing to see how each author infuses their own special touch into characters we are already accustomed to see in a particular way. We literally see them in a different light. Or well, in this case, a different pen. There are countless illustrations by mangakas drawing characters from another work as an homage or simply because they wanted to, and it's amazing to see. So I thought, fuck it, let's make this fun. Scientists say that the first dimension is a line, that the second has height, and the third one has depth. They also say that time is a dimension, and honestly, I don't see it. But sure, they're the scientists.
Disclaimer, this is not a proper definition of dimensions. He doesn't know how dimensions work. He's not a physicist, he's an idiot.
But Marvel Comics taught me one thing, and that is that there are a lot more universes if you just make shit up. So fuck it, I'll make my own dimensions with blackjack and drum. Every time I look at a drawing by another mangaka, I like to think of them as a window to another reality. It's fun to think that all that we see in manga is not an objective reality, just a version of it. And when we see them drawn by another person, we are peeking into an alternate reality. It's like that episode of Fairly Odd Parents when we see Timmy jumping between channels, and we see him in different styles. Honestly, I think this right here was my first experience with anime, so yeah. Now, I'm not a Dragon Ball fan by any metric invented by humans. All my Dragon Ball knowledge comes from my friend who tried to explain me why young Goku has a tail, and then I fell asleep in boredom. Shout out to you, Seba. But what I do am is a Chainsaw Man fan. And one day scrolling Twitter I saw this, a cover drawn by Tatsuki Fujimoto of this Dragon Ball volume. So I did some digging. There has been this event called the Dragon Ball Super Gallery. It's a project that consists of various manga artists drawing a different Dragon Ball cover each month for 40 months to celebrate the 40th anniversary of the series. And this just fueled my delusions. My idea kept growing and growing after every image I saw, kinda like what they did in Inception. Any stuff I saw just kept blowing into the fire. It certainly helps that there are a lot of events like this in Japan. We also have the Togashi exhibition to celebrate Togashi's 35 years as an artist. Here we can see, among a lot of other stuff, pictures made by other artists as tributes to Togashi's work. Artists like Shu Ishida, Gege Agutami, Eiichiro Oda, Koyoharu sorry, I never get the name right, the creator of Demon Slayer. And also, Hirohiko Araki, creator of JoJo. And I think Araki is the greatest proof of concept of, well, my concept, but in the same manga. Throughout Araki's work, we can see how different his style becomes. As usual, artists improve their style and change it with time, but his takes a massive leap in part 4. Before, his character would be basically The Rock, heavily inspired by stuff like Fist of the North Star and such. Just giant, overly muscular men. But later, they became slender and leaner, but staying with that same distinct JoJo style. And the same happens with Togashi. In the beginning, his style is very much 90s premium Japan. Giant eyes, a lot of puffy stylized hair, overall a lot of details. And by the time we get Hunter x Hunter, we have a more minimalistic and less stylized design. If I had to guess, this probably was to not overexert himself drawing due to his health, but without compromising the character's expressiveness and distinct approach. Later on though, we do see some glimpses of the old style in Hunter x Hunter, in the most special moments. That juxtaposed with his current style makes the design stand out in your head for much longer time. But that change happened in between manga, so I don't count it. These changes and evolution in the art styles and seeing them now in the present is what made me think, wouldn't it be fun if thinking all of it together? As if manga was one single entity that each author portrays in the way that they see it. Kinda like, and I hate giving the example, but you know in Space Jam 2 when we see Pennywise and the White Walkers and King Kong and all the stuff like that, we see all of those different like properties that are animated and live action CGI stuff like that, but we see them in like one single shot in one single reality. I hate it, but it's kind of like what I'm saying. But mine is good because mine is just a thought thing. You can ruin it unless you actually do it. It's a fun concept. Certainly is very rational, very Rick and Morty. Morty, this isn't real. Reality is a construct. Joe Rogan. So, the Unreliable Seer consists of thinking of what we see not as a single objective reality, but just one version of what we can see through manga. Just something fun to think. I know that the real reason is much simpler and boring, but hey, I choose to delude myself. Oh, and check out the last Gorillaz album. That's really good.